It's me, Midna again, baby. That's right, I'm back. Last time I questioned for Zelda, I got a little off track, but now my confidence is at an all-time high, cause Navi just anointed me the hero of rhyme.
I said hero of time.
That's right, the hero of rhyme. I don't need no sort of shit, I'm gonna be just fine. Anyway, welcome to Nerd Explosion. Hello, guys, gals, non-binary pals, nerds everywhere. Welcome back to Nerd Explosion. You know what we do.
Intro.
You know what we do. We do this same stuff every week, every Saturday. Blah, 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 blah. Caitlin, how was your day?
It was delightful. It was productive. I got a lot done. Yeah.
Dude, I almost told the guy off today.
Oh yeah.
Because for those of you that don't know, I work as a landscaper, and we have like a big gas tank that if we have to fill it up, I'll pick it up with a Bobcat, bring it to the nearest gas station and fill it. And I've been doing that for, however many years, right?
Yeah, a long time.
And I'm filling it up, and there's a guy who to go to. So finally he finds one, and then he's walking around, and he wasn't upset or anything, but he walks around, looks at me, and he's like, "What are you doing?" At first I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, what are you doing?" And I wanted to just outright be like, "The fuck do you mean, what am I doing?"
Minding my own business.
That's what I'm doing.
Minding my damn business. That's what I'm doing.
And he was just genuinely curious about what was going on. And I wanted to be like, well, next time, rephrase how you ask the question instead of just coming out being like, "What are you doing?" Because that to me is hostile. Me, that's just like, are we about to fight? I don't care if you're over 60. I'll fucking throw down.
Go for a round of fisticuffs with an old ass
Paul
man.
versus Tyson. Except, actually good.
Oh.
Shit fire!
Boom roasted.
Anyway, now that we're 2 minutes into this intro, today's episode, I was trying to think of what Zelda game I wanted to talk about, and I kind of alluded to this last week when it was just me and not you. I want to do...
Yeah, I have a bone to pick with you, by the way.
Huh.
You chose the week I wasn't here to do an episode on one of my favorites.
Panicked. Okay? I panicked.
The fucking one day I pick up a shift at work and you're like, I know what I'll do. I'll go into conspiracy theories.
You were already preoccupied with a bunch of different stuff. Like you had your sister's wedding and everything.
Yes, I did.
But anyway, today's episode, I'm choosing to... Because we started off Zelda month by talking about probably one of your favorite games. Not your top favorite, but one of your favorite games. And I figured this episode we could talk about my personal favorite Zelda game, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. A game that if I had it, I would replay it until the disc was dust. But that's what we talked about today. But, new episodes of this podcast come out every Saturday, like I said in the intro. So go to the link in the description. All the stuff is there, socials and whatnot. So, stay up to date on everything. But I think with that, let's dive into Twilight Princess. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is a 2006 action-adventure game developed and published by Nintendo for the GameCube and Wii. Originally planned for release exclusively on the GameCube in November 2005, Twilight Princess was delayed by Nintendo to allow its developers to refine the game, add more content, and port it to the Wii. The Wii version was a launch game in North America in November 2006, and in Japan, Europe, and Australia the following month. The GameCube version was released in December 2006 as the final first-party game for the console. So, literally, I don't know what else released for the GameCube at the end of its cycle, but the first, the final major Nintendo title for the GameCube was Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess.
Yeah, because that's what we had it on at home.
You had the GameCube version?
Mm-hmm.
See, when I first got it, I had the Wii version. Because we didn't have a GameCube growing up, but my parents
I think I'm wrong
knew.
about that, actually. I think we did have the Wii version. And then later on, I think we got the GameCube version.
Well, it depends. Do you remember pressing a button to swing the sword? Or do you remember shaking your hand like a plate of Jell-O to swing the sword?
Dog, I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday.
Mood, honestly.
And the more I think back on it, I think we did have... Oh, no, we did have the Wii version, because I remember my brother being pissed because he had to hold the controller in his left hand because Link is canonically left-handed. And then they switched it for...
Well, yeah. The only reason they had it Link be right-handed in Twilight Princess is because of the Wii's motion controls.
Yeah, I remember my brother being pissed about it.
And since like 90% of people are right-handed, they're like, well, let's just cater to those people.
I can still
and
hear
leave
him.
left-handers
but Link's
in the dust.
left-handed. I shouldn't have to hold it because his other issue was that he's like, why can't I just hold it in my right hand and have him hold the sword in his left hand? And it's like, well, because mocap doesn't work that way.
Well, I don't know why the thing from Family Guy just came to mind. Why don't the dinosaurs die out? Because you touch yourself at night.
Because you touch yourself.
But, yeah, no. Essentially, the GameCube and the Wii version released at the same time, but there was delays. Whatever, because it was going to be, like this said, it was going to be exclusively on the GameCube, but they decided they wanted to add it to the Wii as well, so both kind of came out around the same time. With, let's see, November 2006 for the Wii version. And the GameCube version coming out in December. So literally the Wii version came out before the GameCube version.
But it was originally supposed to be a GameCube title.
It was going to be exclusively for GameCube.
And
but then they decided with the Wii coming out, they wanted it to be a launch title for the Wii as well. So they released the Wii version in November and the GameCube version in December.
Well, it was only a month apart, I guess.
Let's see. Twilight Princess was critically acclaimed upon its release, received numerous Game of the Year awards, and has been called one of the greatest video games ever made. By 2015, it has sold 8.85 million copies worldwide, making it the best-selling Zelda game. It was the best-selling Zelda game until being overtaken by Breath of the Wild in April of 2018.
That's not surprising, actually. Breath of the Wild is stunning.
Mm-hmm. In 2011, the Wii version was re-released under the Nintendo Selects label. A high-definition remaster based on the GameCube version, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD, developed by Tantalus Media, was released for the Wii U in March 2016. That's my biggest argument for why the Wii U was good. It had pretty much the only to-date HD re-release of Twilight Princess. And so many people are begging for it to come out on the Switch.
The HD re-release was breathtaking.
Well, yeah, it just took what was already there of Twilight Princess. It made it
sharper, more vibrant.
Yeah, just sharper, more vibrant. I don't remember if they changed anything. I can probably look that up as we get into this.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I mean, they might have added some little details here and there, but I don't think there's much about the game that they changed. I don't know. We'll get into that as we go. But what is the story? See if I still have it pulled up. So I took the plot from Wikipedia, put it into ChatGPT to have it summarize it. So if there's some inconsistencies, my little alarm will go off and be like, actually, that's not correct. So
your alarm's gonna actually you?
Yes.
This is what happens when we give AI too much power.
So
this is why I always say please and thank you when I'm talking to Siri and everybody judges me.
I asked politely. I asked GPT politely. I said, please summarize this. So there's no reason Skynet needs to come after me.
Okay, let's hope not.
All right.
I'm not going to survive a robot overtaking.
So...
Or uprising, I guess is the word I was looking for.
The summary. Actually, I might just read off Wikipedia because I don't want to leave out any details because, I love this game.
This is just like an ADHD impulsive thought, but one day I would really love to just like record visually so that while you're talking, I can just casually shift my camera over so everybody can see what I'm seeing, which is just cats. Completely passed out, just in a line.
That's what we should do. We should do a video episode, but the whole episode is just a shot of them. It's just the whole episode, like an hour-long episode, and just it's just all cats. Just them laying there.
All cats, all the time.
I'm sure that would get a lot of views.
Well, it's the internet. Who doesn't fucking love cats?
That is true. Anyway, the plot of Twilight Princess. Princess Zelda is forced to surrender when Zant, the usurper king of the Twilight, invades Hyrule Castle and begins to engulf the land into Twilight. In Ordon Village, ranch hand Link pursues Bobins, who have kidnapped his childhood friend Ilia and the village's children, and encounters a wall of Twilight. Pulled beyond the wall by monsters, Link transforms into a wolf and collapses before being imprisoned. An imp named Midna offers to free Link if he assists her. Midna guides Link to Zelda, who instructs the pair to revive the light spirits in the Twilight engulfed regions of Hyrule. After reviving the nearest light spirit, Link returns to his human form and is deemed the hero of the gods. Link and Midna travel through Hyrule and revive the spirits of each region, who reveal information about the Fused Shadow, a relic holding powers as strong as Zant's. On their way, Link also finds the children and Ilia, who wait within the safety of Kakariko Village. After restoring the regions to their glory and retrieving the few shadow pieces, the pair are ambushed by Zant, who steals the relic and curses Link into his wolf form. Midna calls him out for his abuse of power, but Zant reveals his power to be from another source and exposes Midna to the light. Link brings a dying Midna to Zelda, who uses her sacred power to heal her before mysteriously vanishing. Backing it up a bit, that part that I just read, we talked about it in our top Zelda music episode. That's the part that, Midna's lament is on.
Yeah.
Because Zant basically leaves Midna to die, basically, and curses you to wolf form, and you have to race through Hyrule Field to get back to Hyrule Castle in order to ask for, Princess Zelda for help. Zelda informs Link to locate the Master Sword to break Zant's curse. After obtaining the sword, Link is able to transform into a wolf at will. Which, I'm going to back up a little bit here, because I think I mentioned this in my original episode when I did this, talked about this years ago on this podcast. The first time that Link transforms into a wolf, it looks painful, because obviously he's changing into a wolf. So how do you think he feels when he's able to just do that at will?
I mean, after a while, because you have to turn into a wolf so often in the game, I think after a while it would just be like second nature.
Do you imagine it's like a quick pain? And Midna's just like, well, Link, do you want to transform into a wolf? And Link's like, oh, sure. And they're like, all right, here we go. Ah!
Just a quick, ah! Okay, let's go.
It's like, all right, Midna, I'm ready to turn into a wolf. Okay. Oh, God, it hurts!
I mean, like your whole
son of a bitch. I mean, woof.
Your whole biology is changing, right? Like your bones are elongating.
You're changing from a human to a wolf.
Yeah, I mean.
To a woof.
Into a wolf.
Let's see. Without Zelda's presence, Hyrule Castle becomes surrounded by a powerful barrier. The pair reaches the depths of Gerudo Desert to use the Mirror of Twilight, the only known way that connects Hyrule to the Twilight Realm, only to discover that Zant is broken into fragments. Ancient beings known as sages appear and reveal the fragments' locations, and explain that Zant could not permanently destroy the mirror as he is not the true ruler of the Twilight. Before Link leaves, the sages reveal that the mirror was used to banish Ganondorf, leader of the Gerudo. Ganondorf was convicted of an attempt to steal the Triforce and nearly escaped execution before his banishment. So, I love that they include that because that is kind of like, if you look at the timeline...
You get a little backstory on Ganon, too.
This is what happens to Ganondorf after, the events of, Ocarina of Time. So, you wonder, in Ocarina of Time, you defeat Ganondorf and he's banished to, the Sacred Realm or whatever. And this is eventually what happens to him. The sages are going to execute him for trying to steal the Triforce, basically.
Which is insane just on its surface.
But in this game...
execution for theft.
They're about to kill him. They summon the sword and stab him, but he's able to siphon power he's able to use the Triforce of Power to defy death, basically.
I want to know if at any point during these reincarnations, Link is just like, this fucking guy again? Seriously?
If he somehow has memories of other Link, and he's just like, fucking cunt.
This fucking guy.
I just want to go to bed.
Right? I was just a kid in a tree hut.
I just need
and I have to be
cold
the hero
glass of
time.
Lon milk, and I just want to go to bed.
Right?
My God can't catch a break. Oh,
I mean, Ganondorf is annoyingly persistent.
Mm-hmm. He's just extremely persistent. He's hey Link, it's me, the devil.
It's your boy, Ganondorf.
Hey, it's me. Link and Midna travel through Hyrule once more and retrieve the fragments of the mirror. Once the mirror is complete, they cross into the Twilight Realm to confront Zant, who reveals that his oath has revived Ganondorf. And they don't say it in here, but the power that Zant has, it's not just because he's a Twilight. He doesn't just have power from being a Twilight, but also he has that power lent to him by Ganondorf.
Yeah.
I immediately lost my place. There we go. Upon retrieving the fused shadow, an angered Midna inadvertently kills Zant with its power. Oh, the power of the fused shadow. That whole thing was weird. Mm-hmm. That whole scene was weird. Because, I mean, it was kind of badass to see Midna just be like, hey, fuck you.
Quite literally, go fuck yourself.
But there's a boss battle with Zant at this point, and Zant, who before this was like this kind of stoic, evil presence, as a last-ditch effort, just starts going fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and just goes completely insane. And one of the last things before he dies is just he looks up to Midna. He's just like,
oh yeah.
you remember that?
It was so unsettling. It's like, because it was a very serious and very intense moment, and it's meant to be, and then he makes that fucking sound, and it's like, what are you doing?
Right. Oh my god.
I don't like it.
So backing up more and more about that, I wanted to talk about, as we're going through the plot, I wanted to talk about the one cutscene in this that really freaked me out, and it's still, to this day, still kind of gives me the tss, and that is, I think it's the last light spirit that you and Midna help, the last few shadow piece you get. That light spirit tells you the story of like the few shadow, like how the few shadows came to be, like their power and everything. And I was looking for a good explanation online for it because I couldn't think of a good way to explain it myself. But luckily somebody on Reddit has me covered. I forget their name, but I just kind of copy and pasted it here. So to explain that whole cutscene, the first part is just explaining the creation of Hyrule by the goddesses in the sacred realm containing the Triforce, which was, if I recall, made at the place where the goddesses ascended back to the heavens, at least according to Ocarina of Time. The fact that the people in it are Ilia and Link is, I believe, probably just a means for the spirit to enforce his point, using people that Link actually knows rather than just some random faces that would most likely emphasize the importance of the whole thing. Secondly, the whole, I'm gonna stab you, oh no, you got me first, bleh, is to show how easily the lore of the Triforce can turn innocent people into evil, friend-stabbing, bad people. I believe they're trying to say that people like to kill each other over power. Next...
What is this, the real world?
Next, said bad people with some ability in magic, kind of makes me think of Ganondorf actually, now that I think about it, apparently use the powers of the Fused Shadow, I think, please correct me on this, I'm assuming they use the Fused Shadow since they show a giant Fused Shadow in the background, to kill everyone, or at least a lot of people, who didn't agree with them. This corruption and general man-made mayhem prompted the light spirits to intervene, sealing away the Fused Shadows and severing their connection to the magic, and thus the power that these, let's call them bad people, had grown to use or abuse. As for why all the bad guys look like Link, I have no explanation for that. Again, it might just be to drive home the point, making it feel more personal, or it could be just to creep us out. Finally, a warning that it seems even Link is not immune to the corrupting influence that the power of the Triforce, or maybe he's warning us about the Fused Shadows, has on people. As for it raining Ilias, your guess is as good as mine. Probably just to ramp up the creep factor. So literally this light spirit is telling Link the story about the Fused Shadows and how people would like kill each other over the power, and the light spirits had to intervene and be like, hey, knock it off.
Hey, can you fucking not, actually?
And these bad people are represented by shadow versions of Link. Which, I mean, Dark Link representation in Twilight Princess.
It makes sense if you think about it, because it's like the whole purpose of that endeavor was to be like, hey, so power is actually insanely corruptive, and this is what could happen.
Yeah, it's basically warning them, be like, hey, I know you're on a mission to get the few shadows, but be careful of its power because, this A, B, and C.
Because as we have seen often, even in real life, especially in real life, people get a taste of power and then they think that they can do whatever the hell they want to. And the fact of the matter is, you can't.
This just got real.
Because we live in a society.
I hate the fact that we live in a society.
Live, love, chuckles.
Are you people enjoying this nail asthma that apparently Kate is doing now?
I'm sorry, one of my guys broke off.
One of your guys?
Yeah.
Did you just assume their pronouns?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
In my defense, it told me.
Oh, where was it? Where was I? Kill Zant, right? That's where I was at last?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Returning into Hyrule, Midna uses the Fused Shadow to break the barrier surrounding Hyrule Castle. Ascending through the castle, they confront Ganondorf, now using a seemingly lifeless Zelda as a puppet. Which, can I just say,
That's
it'll get more
creepy in and of itself.
It'll get more into it, but there are a lot of boss battles I loved in Twilight Princess. The final fight with Ganondorf in Twilight Princess, best in the series in my opinion, because it was a multi-part boss fight and it was really dope. I would get more into this. So he used the life of Zelda as a puppet. After a struggle, Midna restores Zelda before teleporting her and Link outside of the castle to face Ganondorf alone. Okay, so they skip over stuff, but the final fight with Ganondorf in Twilight Princess is in 4 parts. So you have the first one where he's using Zelda as a puppet. And then after you get through that phase and Midna restores Zelda to, herself, Ganondorf transforms
her natural state of being.
Ganondorf transforms into his beast form. And then you fight him a little bit as that. And then once he's defeated, he reappears as a floating ball of Ganon, basically.
A ball of Ganon.
A ball of Ganondorf. And Midna calls on the power of the Fused Shadow to try to take him out, but teleports Link and Zelda away first. Which I think it goes on to say here. After a struggle, Midna restores Zelda before teleporting her and Link outside of the castle to face Ganondorf alone. Nevertheless, Ganondorf soon arrives on Hyrule Field, crushing the Fused Shadow in his hands, implying that he has killed Midna.
Yeah.
So basically Midna is like, I'm gonna take you on by myself, bitch. And then teleports Link and Zelda away to keep him safe.
And then Ganon was basically like...
Ganondorf comes out and be like, haha, psych, motherfucker.
Don't do it.
Let's see. Ganondorf soon arrives in Hyrule Castle, crushes the Fused Shadow in his hands, implying that he's killed Midna. Link manages to defeat Ganondorf with a Master Sword. So... they didn't even really go over that. Then the third part of Ganondorf's boss fight is he summons a bunch of ghosts and is gonna finish you and Zelda off before Zelda teleports you to this dream realm or whatever. And she calls on the help of the light spirits to obtain light arrows. So part 3 of the Ganondorf boss fight is you're chasing him around on Hyrule Field. You're riding Epona. And no, he's riding his horse. You're riding Epona with Zelda kind of riding behind you. And she shoots him with light arrows to kind of slow him down while you slash at him. And then, once that part is over, it goes into the final part, which Ganondorf falls off his horse and then Link gets off to confront him. There's this light barrier that surrounds you and Ganondorf, so you just have a final one-on-one battle with Ganondorf. Which... a fun fact about this boss battle, the net that you get as an item earlier in the game, or no, the fishing rod that you get later in the game, you can pull out during this part of the Ganondorf fight and he'll just look at it. I don't know if that was programmed intentionally, but I just love the fact you pull out this climactic battle, everything is led up to this moment. You pull out the fishing rod and Ganondorf's just like, what's that? look at that. Ooh. But so this fight, you fight Ganondorf, you knock him down, and then you're prompted as Link to hop through the air and stab him right through the chest.
Which is sick, by the way.
See, Link manages to defeat Ganondorf with the Master Sword. Before dying, Ganondorf witnesses Zant breaking their oath. See, that's the other weird thing too, and that might show what influence Zant ultimately had on Ganondorf as well, because Ganondorf led Zant his power, but Zant might also have influence on Ganondorf too.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, as Ganondorf is standing there dying, basically, it goes to a shot of Zant, and he's kind of just looking. All of a sudden, he tilts his head to the side, and you hear a snap, and then it goes back to Ganondorf, and he like snaps his head back, and his eyes are white, kind of showing that the Ganondorf taking his final breath, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Midna, having managed to survive, returns to her real form. After a heartfelt goodbye, Midna uses her powers as true ruler of the Twilight to permanently destroy the Mirror of Twilight. Sometime later, Hyrule Castle is being rebuilt, and Link returns the children and Ilia to Ordon before departing to parts unknown.
Can we talk about Midna's human form for a second?
Can we talk about Midna's form in general? Imp form?
Hot.
Human form?
Hot.
I don't give a damn.
Hot. Midna could get it.
Midna true form? Hot. Midna imp form? Hot and pocket-sized.
And pockets are gross. Anyway, they had no business making Midna that dummy thick. That's all I'll say.
She thicker than the Snicker.
And her one, honestly, in her imp form, her one little tooth that hangs down fucking kills me.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I see it, I'm like, you cheeky bitch.
you cheeky motherfucker. But yeah, that whole scene too of her breaking the Mirror of Twilight. So the credits go for a little bit, and then it goes back to the Arbiter's Grounds, like Gerudo Valley, where the Mirror of Twilight was. And there's a cutscene between Link, Zelda, and Midna, now in her true form, basically saying like, oh, it's time for me to return to my people, but thank you so much, like you guys mean the world to me, whatever, blah 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 blah, and having a heart to heart with Link, and kind of implying that she wants to be able to visit them anytime they want, but then she uses like a tear to shatter the Mirror of Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
So like, how can you say like you're gonna miss them and you want to return, but also destroy the one way people can go to the Twilight Realm?
Well, I think she did that on purpose because she was expressing how she felt about Link specifically, because they spent the whole journey together, but Link and Zelda, but also knowing this bridge between worlds cannot exist.
Like, I think Zelda actually says a line in this. It's something along the lines of light cannot exist without darkness or something.
It can't.
Like, oh yeah, it's like light and darkness are two sides of the same coin. It's some quote along those lines, but yeah.
Hold on, I'm on it.
You're looking it up?
Yep.
All right, well, you do that. I'm going to go into the development, reading off the development. In 2003, Nintendo announced a new Legend of Zelda game for the GameCube by the same team that had created the cel-shaded Wind Waker. Yes.
Found it.
That's, okay, yeah, read your quote too, but...
Shadow and light are two sides of the same coin. One cannot exist without the other. I know the reason the goddesses left the Mirror of Twilight in this world. They left it because it was their design that we should meet. Yes, that is what I believe.
Yeah, I knew it was something along those lines. But going into this little development thing, I just read a thing that, like, one thing I, like, constantly remember is in the pot of useless information that I keep, on me at all times.
I've never heard you refer to it like that.
So, Wind Waker, or no, Twilight Princess is what people originally thought Wind Waker was going to be. Because there was a demo, I believe this was well after Majora's Mask, but they were showing off a demo, like a tech demo for like a new Zelda that had like an intense battle between Link and Ganondorf. And then as more information came out when they actually announced a game, it ended up being, what Wind Waker was, like the art style and everything. And a bunch of people were pissed off.
Which I don't get because
they were like, what is this child bullshit?
I loved the Wind Waker design.
Yeah, a lot of people did not like it at first.
I love Toon Link. I would fall on a blade for Toon Link.
Well, that's the thing. And I think that's why a lot of people love Wind Waker now. Because the initial reaction was just like, God, what is this kid shit? But after a while, after people actually played the game, it's became one of the, top Zelda games of all time.
I mean, I get why people were upset. If you look at it, we went from Ocarina of Time to Twilight Princess, both very...
To Wind Waker, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So we went from Ocarina of Time to Wind Waker, right? Ocarina of Time was aesthetically very dark. It was pretty, sure, but the colors were very, like the purples were a dark purple, the green was a dark green, the reds were a deep blood ruby red. And then you go to Wind Waker, which is very vibrant and bright and whimsical almost.
Yeah, and it's a completely different art style from like what people were used to at that time.
Correct.
And it's a complete 180 from the original tech demo that they showed off. But the thing with Twilight Princess, a lot of people initially really like clung onto it because they were like, all right, cool. This is what we wanted Wind Waker to be. So people were like, oh, this is the realistic, darker Zelda that we originally wanted instead of what Wind Waker was.
Which was very cutesy, but it still kind of had a dark... The gameplay itself was cutesy, but the storyline was kind of dark.
Ooh.
Because you have a creature kidnapping girls.
Oh, here's something. So this is still in 2003, by the way. Alright, at the following year's Game Developers Conference, so 2004, director Eiji Aonuma unintentionally revealed that the game's sequel was in development under the working title The Wind Waker 2. So Twilight Princess was originally just going to be a sequel to Wind Waker.
Honestly, if they had kept along those lines and made it a Wind Waker sequel, I don't think it would have been as wildly successful as it was.
Let's see, it was set to use a similar graphical style to that of its predecessor. Nintendo of America told Aonuma that North American sales of the Wind Waker were sluggish because its cartoon appearance created the impression that the game was designed for a young audience. Concerned that the sequel would have the same problem, Aonuma expressed to producer Shigeru Miyamoto that he wanted to create a realistic Zelda game that would appeal to the North American market and meet Miyamoto's original vision of realism for the series. So literally, Twilight Princess was created from the idea that people did not initially like Wind Waker's design.
So they're like, hold on, let's take a sharp left turn.
Because in America, a lot of people didn't buy Wind Waker because they're like, oh, this is for kids.
Well, there's a new Zelda game coming out. If it's not out already, I think it's out already. But it was styled after...
Oh, you're talking about Echoes of Wisdom?
Yes, Echoes of Wisdom was styled after...
It's kind of styled after Link's Awakening, but not like the original Link's Awakening, like the re-release, the Switch version of Link's Awakening. It's that style, basically.
Yeah, because my parents tried to tell me that it was styled after Wind Waker, and I had to be like, actually?
Yeah, no.
Which is a weird position to be in.
If it was styled after Wind Waker, it'd be like a 3D explorative thing, not like a top-down scrolling thing. So Echoes of Wisdom is styled after... Oh, excuse me.
It was styled after
Link's
the
Awakening.
2019 Switch remake of Link's Awakening.
Yes. Let's see. Shigeru Miyamoto, hesitant about solely changing the game's presentation, suggested the team's focus should be on coming up with gameplay innovations. Although
I will say, I do think they kept elements from Wind Waker in Twilight Princess because Ocarina of Time was very angular, right? And granted, it came out in like...
Oh, that's Zelda? She's a lot more angular than I remember her.
She's a little more angular. But the graphics were very kind of sharp and angular and whatever. And then you jump to Wind Waker and it's very rounded out, very cartoonish, very cutesy, like I said. But then you go
this was
into
GameCube.
Twilight. Then you go into Twilight, and even on the GameCube version, it's more rounded, but it's still got that more quote unquote realistic feel that you had with Ocarina.
Oh yeah, and the whole thing with Wind Waker, like they could do a lot more because this was GameCube. It was better hardware, and they could do more with graphically.
Yeah.
Whereas Nintendo 64, I mean, it still looks good by today's standards, but you could only do so much.
Well, and for the time that it came out, that game, the Ocarina of Time, was a visual masterpiece.
Ocarina of Time had amazing graphics
At the time. But, I mean, it's true, though, because up until then, we had only seen the top-down version we had never seen a 3D Zelda. That was it. That was the end of my thought.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Just as the original Legend of Zelda game was inspired by J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings novels, the aesthetic of Twilight Princess was inspired by the Lord of the Rings films, as they had just come out and were very popular at the time. I think that I knew. I saw that fact somewhere.
Hold, please. Get out here.
He told you off.
Anybody want a sassy about a black cat? You can have mine. I'm tired of the disrespect in this house.
I just love that. Anybody want a sassy black cat? You can have mine.
What bills are you paying to be yelling at me like this?
Oh my god.
Fucking cats, man.
But anyway, getting back to the topic. I did hear that fact somewhere, and I could definitely see it while playing the game, that a lot of the aesthetic of Twilight Princess was definitely felt like Lord of the Ringsy, you know?
I think it's a stretch, but yeah, I guess I could.
I mean, it's on the Wikipedia, so.
Oh well, if Wikipedia said it.
You can stretch all you want, but you're gonna suffer a hernia, because like they said, the Lord of the Rings movies had just come out and were very popular around the time that Twilight Princess released. The game was developed with having a large, convincing world in mind, one with a vast scale to meet the expectation for fantasy worlds the audience has become accustomed to with Lord of the Rings. In 4 months, Aonuma's team managed to present realistic horseback riding, which Nintendo later revealed to the public with a trailer at E3 2004, rest in peace E3, that was met with enormous praise. The game was scheduled to be released the next year and was no longer a follow-up to Wind Waker. A true sequel to it was released for the Nintendo DS in 2007 in the form of Phantom Hourglass. So Twilight Princess...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Twilight Princess didn't end up being the sequel to Wind Waker, but...
Phantom Hourglass did.
Wind Waker did end up getting a sequel, which became Phantom Hourglass. Which I have actually not played all the way through. I tried playing it on the emulator, and I can't get over the fact that you have to use a stylus to move Link.
I just don't like handheld games. I
don't have a DS. I just have an emulator. So instead of a stylus, it's my finger. I have to use my finger.
Your fingers.
My fingers. Miyamoto explained in interviews that the graphical style was chosen to satisfy the demand and that it better fit the theme of an older incarnation of Link. The game runs on a modified Wind Waker engine. So essentially, Twilight Princess runs on the same engine that Wind Waker did, but just, tweaked a little bit to make it more realistic, Oh, here we go. Here's something I can read off too. Transition to the Wii. Aonuma had anticipated creating a Zelda game for what would later become the Wii, but had assumed that he would need to complete Twilight Princess first. His team began work developing a pointing-based interface for the bow and arrow, and Aonuma found that aiming directly at the screen gave the game a new feel, just like the DS control scheme for Phantom Hourglass. Aonuma felt confident this was the only way to proceed, but worried about consumers who had been anticipating a GameCube release. Developing two versions would mean delaying the previously announced 2005 release, still disappointing the consumer. Nintendo president Satoru Iwata, rest in peace, felt that having both versions would satisfy users in the end, even though they would have to wait for the finished product. Aonuma then started working on both versions in parallel. Transferring GameCube development to the Wii was relatively simple since the Wii was being created to be compatible with GameCube software. At E3 2005, Nintendo released a small number of Nintendo DS game cards containing a preview trailer for Twilight Princess. They also announced that a Zelda title would appear on the Wii, then codenamed Revolution, but were not clear to the media if this meant Twilight Princess or a different game. Going through there, E3 2006, Nintendo confirmed that both versions would be available at the Wii launch and had a playable version of Twilight Princess for the Wii. Later, the GameCube release was pushed back to a month after the launch of the Wii. What?
I don't know why you said Wii launch, and my head immediately was like, put it in a catapult. Launch that bitch. One thing about me, I would choose violence 100% of the time.
Are you guys ready for this game release? Pull!
Like the discs.
Just launching thousands of copies of video games into a crowd. Everybody's just cheering and they say pull and then, ow, ooh, ah, cardboard, ow.
Well, it's plastic, so it would be like...
Plastic. You know what I mean.
Womp, womp, womp,
womp. High-definition remaster of the game The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD, developed by Tantalus Media for the Wii U, announced during the Nintendo Direct presentation on November 13th, 2015. It featured enhanced graphics and amiibo functionality. So, the Wii U version was based off of the GameCube version, and besides the graphics and the amiibo functionality, there's some tweaks here and there to, make the game run a little better. Like, a lot of the cutscenes were sped up because a lot of the original cutscenes felt like they dragged on for a while. Mm-hmm. Eiji Aonuma said that he considered the underwater gameplay in the remaster to be significantly improved. Frame rate, updates and everything. And overall, just the Wii U version is just the better version of Twilight Princess to play.
The Wii version?
The Wii U version.
Oh.
The HD version.
I have beef with the Wii U.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What beef do you have?
I hate it.
It gave us Twilight Princess HD.
It did, but it's stupid.
And
the
Mario
Switch
Maker
is everything I wanted the Wii U to be, and I've said that before, and I will die on that hill.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
But
there.
the Wii U as a concept, garbage.
I don't know what else I want to go through on here. Other than, let's end this off with our personal things on Twilight Princess. Why this is my favorite Zelda game is, well, one, it's the first Zelda game I actually owned and completed 100%. And two, I just love the overall, like, the music, the art style, just the overall tone of it. It does have a
beautiful music, beautiful soundtrack, for sure.
Because by the time it came out, I was in my edgy teenage boy era.
I love that for you.
Which is probably why Kingdom Hearts 2 vibed with me, because they kind of played into that too, with Roxas being a pure teenager. Representation of like the mid 2000s boy.
Teenage angst.
But no, Twilight Princess, I spent hours upon hours just playing it, replaying it, trying to find every single thing.
Okay, completionist.
What about you? What are your thoughts on Twilight Princess?
I liked it. I thought it was a good game. I thought it's very aesthetically and visually pleasing. I liked that it was a little bit darker. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's my favorite, but it's definitely top 3.
I definitely think they need to re-release it for like the Switch or something, or at least 100%. have it on some like hardware.
See, that's the only downside of being a PlayStation household, is that the Nintendo games I grew up with, I can't play.
Well, I mean, we can fix that. Because, Christmas is coming up. And we can ask people for a Switch.
It is.
Because you're already buying me a PS5, so we can have other people get a Switch.
Which was supposed to be a surprise, but somebody kept bitching about it.
Although, I really wouldn't mind having a Switch, because, I mean, while I do love my PlayStation games, there are a bunch of Nintendo games that I would definitely love to pay. Like, I would love, like, if we had people over, do, like, a Mario Party or a Mario Kart or something like that.
Oh, God, I love... Okay, hot take, Mario Party 8 is a superior Mario Party.
trying to think which one that exactly was.
Mario Party 8, fucking, my mom beat the shit out of us playing that game. She won every single time.
My mom beat the shit out of us, and I was like, okay.
No, like it got to the point where she'd be like, let's play Mario Party, and me and all two of my siblings would be like, fuck you, we're not playing with you.
Let's go gambling. Oh, dang it.
Hold on, I'll pull it up and I'll show you. Mario
She
Party.
literally held. She did not hold back.
No, she didn't, and it was bullshit.
She's like, these kids don't learn today.
She always wanted to play as Princess Peach or Yoshi. And she kicked our asses every single time. I was like, this is bullshit.
See, I can understand that because any of those games like Mario Kart or Mario Party, I always told dibs on Luigi.
It's the year of Luigi! No, but Mario Party 8 was a superior game, even though I got my ass handed to me every time I played it.
Any more final thoughts on Twilight Princess? Because I really can't think of anything else.
On Twilight Princess specifically, no. Nintendo as a whole? Also no.
Nintendo as a whole? Well, as long as we're talking about Nintendo as a whole,
I grew up as a Nintendo kid,
thought.
so I will always...
I have a thought on Nintendo. I love all their games. I love my Marios, my Zeldas, everything. Please stop punishing smaller creators and people who upload ROMs to websites because they just want to have fun.
Yes.
Like, that's my biggest problem with Nintendo. Because, like, people will put up ROMs of, like, games on sites for people to put in emulators and play, like I could download Game Boy games on my phone. And apparently, if Nintendo catches wind of that, they hate that. And will
I kind of get
demand them to take it down. Like, they're in their right to do it.
I get it. You have to protect your product.
Like, no, that's the thing. They're in their right. Legally, they can do that. Legally, they can be like, hey, take your shit down.
Yeah, they
like,
call
that's
that a
stuff.
cease and desist.
It's a cease and desist. Yeah, legally, they can. But it's just like, why do you care that much? People download them because they want to have fun. And sometimes, like, you can't get your hands on any of the whole hardware to play these games.
Right, but if from a business standpoint, Nintendo's losing money with these emulators and stuff out there, which isn't fair, but also that's their brand and their product that they have to protect.
Well, with a lot of these, like the NES games, the Super Nintendo games, like not a lot of people can get their hands on a NES or Super Nintendo anymore. But it's easier to get an emulator and download a file. What
I think Nintendo should do is create an emulator and then sell it for like dirt cheap.
Well, they kind of do have that with their Nintendo Switch Online thing, because they let you do like a thing like the Game Boy Advance Online or whatever. But it's part of a subscription that you have to pay, and even then, they don't include everything. See, what they should do is do a subscription for like $10 a month, include all the NES games, all the Super Nintendo games, like all the old school games, and just throw it all on there. They'd make bank, I think. Like I said, part of their Nintendo Switch Online thing.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that they should just do all of their old games.
Like their whole library of stuff. Instead of just, or at least the most popular ones. Instead of just a select few they decide to put on there. Right. Yeah, I know. I do what you're saying. But, I mean, with
get
emulators...
some Frogger up in there.
With emulators, it's just as easy to do emulators. I mean, look at mine right now that I have. I have Donkey Kong Country on mine.
I played Ocarina of Time on an emulator for a hot minute.
I have Majora's Mask on this emulator. For Game Boy Advance, I have Sonic Advance and Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. And then DS games, I have Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. But
the prequel to Luigi's Mansion House.
Anyway, we went on a rant about Nintendo.
I love Nintendo. I was a Nintendo kid growing up.
Twilight Princess is great. If you have a chance to play it, definitely do. I highly recommend it.
It will, at some points, punch you square in your Honey Nut Filios.
I feel like that one's easy to emulate too, especially if the emulation is based off of the HD re-release that came out on the Wii U.
Is it?
It might be. I don't know. Oh. But I would imagine if somebody's going to put up like the ROM of it, they would base it off of the re-release. Anything else on Twilight Princess? No. Before I wrap this up? Because I really gotta pee now.
Thank you for sharing that with the world.
Yes, I'm ending this episode because my bladder is about to explode. But no, like I said, Twilight Princess, if you have a chance to play it, play it.
Yeah.
I'd highly recommend it.
Agreed.
But with that being said, I'm gonna wrap up this episode. Hope you guys are doing really well out there. Hope you guys are drinking your water, staying hydrated, be nice to one another. Otherwise, I will tell your dads on you if you're not. I've been Cameron.
I've been Kate.
That was a burp, and we'll see you in the next episode. Nerds out.